From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
A drastic drop in the detention of migrant families at the border. We find out what's behind the decrease.
Plus, the challenges with college kids being able to use their student IDs to vote.
And Breast Express, the new push to normalize breastfeeding in public right here in the Valley. And now it's your chance to weigh in.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Mackenzie Pavasich.
And I'm Christopher Lindsay. Thank you for joining us.
Our big story tonight, the U.S. Border Patrol says the number of immigrant families detained at the U.S.-Mexico border has dropped.
In the Border Patrol facility in Yuma, there are now less than 100 families in detention. Frankie McLister has the details.
Yeah, Yuma's been one of the busiest sectors in terms of migrants attempting to cross the southern border. But as you all mentioned, those numbers have taken a steep dive.
Agents apprehended 68,000 migrants in all of the Yuma sector in fiscal year 2019. During the peak of the humanitarian crisis, agents would stop up to 450 families every day in May. Fast forward to this month, numbers have drastically declined at the border and in Border Patrol custody.
When at one point we had over 1,600 illegal aliens in custody.
Border Patrol confirming that there's currently less than 100 migrant families in custody across their 3 stations, adding that there's also about 30 migrant children. This staggering decrease has only helped put more agents back into the field.
We were allowed to send a lot of those people back to their home locations. That way they can perform their mission.
Agent Garibay saying 96% of those crossings are Central Americans, with only 4% Mexican, and that hasn't changed.
Some days we're catching 0 people in a shift, 6 people the next shift.
And right now we're finding out that at this moment, the mayor of San Luis, Arizona says both the church and the dance hall of Come de Bienestar that open to house these migrants are totally empty.
This is usually a transfer point for them to, once released, they'll either head to Phoenix, San Diego, Los Angeles.
Border Patrol, however, continues to call this a crisis, even though numbers are down and migrant shelters have been closed down due to the lack of families crossing into the country.
But for here, we're still catching more than we have been in the past, even though it's lower than what we have been catching over the past couple months.
Yeah, and Border Patrol today telling Cronkite News they believe that drop of families in detention could be the result of a number of factors, including increased Mexican National Guard troops along Mexico's borders and added security measures along the southern international boundary. In the broadcast center, Frankie McLister for Cronkite News.
And the Interior Department will soon transfer 560 acres of federal land to the Army for border wall construction. 5 parcels of land in Arizona, California, and New Mexico will be used to construct 70 miles of the barrier along the U.S.-Mexico border. The project will be paid for with the $3.6 billion in military construction funds that the Department of Defense diverted earlier this month.
Arizona officials are considering plans for civilian oversight of the Phoenix Police Department following multiple cases of officer-involved shootings. The Phoenix City Council met this week to discuss its options. Some of the plans considered included reviewing completed police investigations, assigning a monitor to handle complaints, and creating an oversight entity that would handle investigations from start to finish. A second meeting has been scheduled for October 15th.
And new tonight, detectives with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office helped bust an amateur marijuana cartridge operation in North Phoenix. A tip led to the authorities to the suspect's home, where a raid recovered nearly $400,000 worth of drugs, firearms, and cash. Investigators, also discovered over 1,000 packaged vape cartridges that were allegedly manufactured inside the house.
Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich is once again looking to sue over tuition hikes at the state's 3 public universities. The state sued the Arizona Board of Regents in 2017 for tuition increases that they say violated the state's constitution, but the Arizona Supreme Court decided to dismiss the suit. Brnovich is now petitioning to the court to review the dismissal and take up the case. The Board of Regents now has 30 days to file a response.
College IDs could be used as identification at the polls, but only if universities are willing to make some changes.
As it stands right now, those IDs do not meet the requirements.
Cronkite News reporter Peter Gong reports on what would need to be done. Peter?
The issue for the IDs to be acceptable, the student's address must be on the card, and that's not currently on any of the IDs at the 3 state universities. A footnote in the draft of the Elections Procedures Manual states that student ID cards from a public college or university are government-issued IDs and can be accepted, but only if it meets the voter ID requirements.
Student ID must have a name, your photo, and your address. So we want to avoid any misconception that a student ID that lacks those 3 elements is sufficient. They are not.
Although the Election Services Director for the Secretary of State's office stated that no rules are being changed to the voter ID law, but there is a clarification of what's acceptable. During the 2016 election, students waited long lines at the polling place. Many are advocating for student ID cards to be accepted for voting purposes.
A lot of students who didn't have that driver's license are trying to figure out how you can mix and match these different documents and usually aren't super familiar with what is going to count.
Right now, student ID cards from ASU, U of A, and NAU do not have addresses on them, which would not meet the voter ID law criteria. It would be up to Arizona's public colleges and universities to update the ID card, something ASU explained in a statement would be challenging. Many ASU student IDs are tied to bank accounts, which raises security concerns if addresses were to be printed on those ID cards, and the fact that we are dealing with a highly mobile population, which would require continuous updates to student IDs. While student ID cards can't be used for voter identification at this time, Doe has a message to students who still want to vote.
Students should get out. Students who are residents of Arizona, they should register, they should get involved. We have an important election coming up.
If you want to make sure you have the right documents to bring to the polls, you can go to azcleanelections.gov and go to the ID at the polls section to take the interactive quiz to determine if you have sufficient ID to vote this November. Live in the broadcast center, Peter Gahn, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Peter. And the Fiesta Bowl is awarding $5,000 grants to Arizona teachers to make wishes come true in their classrooms and schools. The Wishes for Teachers program is accepting applications through October 5th and will be selecting a whopping 200 winners. The grants are open for all K-12 teachers at public and charter schools in the state. And so far, the Fiesta Bowl has awarded over $2 million since the program launched in 2016.
Starting this year, high school students have to take a financial literacy class before they can graduate.
And it's all due to a bill signed into law by Governor Doug Ducey.
Cronkite News reporter Delaney White talked with students who have been taking this class. Delaney?
I talked with students and staff at Xavier College Prep about what their course entails. It's something they've been teaching for years.
Everything adds up. How much money you think you have an endless supply when you're a kid, and then you get older and you realize, oh, I have to start working for things now. I have to become more frugal in how I spend things and be able to budget myself better.
Starting this fall, Arizona high school students will now be required to complete a personal finance course in order to graduate. This requirement is new for some schools, but Xavier College Prep students have been learning these important financial skills for years.
What we hope the students and what we've seen in the past that the students take away from the course is putting the economic theory into personal, practical reality. So their personal finances, learning how to budget, how to set up a spending plan, how to plan for the future, for retirement. They're most likely not going into a company that has a pension plan. And these days, people are jumping from job to job, so learning how to set themselves up for the future so they don't find themselves, at 65 or 70 without any assets.
Students say they have learned valuable lessons in the course as well as gained knowledge about topics that will soon apply to their lives, especially when it comes to credit cards and college payments.
I will definitely be using the pros and cons of credit cards because that's coming up soon for being 18 and being able to get one. So I have to think about how I can pay off credit cards and not fall into debt. And it's also important to figure out how to pay for college so you don't fall into student debt either.
The new financial literacy requirement is intended to give students skills they will need in the real world, such as making financial decisions and balancing credit and debt. In the broadcast lab, Delaney White, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Delaney. Still ahead on Cronkite News at 5. Many of us have heard about the strong opinions on the topic of breastfeeding in public.
And after the break, how one organization is trying to remove the stigma from it as they tour the valley in a Breast Express bus.
And rain chances are on the rise as temps begin to take a dive. I'll have your full weekend weather forecast coming up.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Breastfeeding uncovered in public is a controversial topic that has made national headlines, but one app is working to change that stigma.
Reporter Andrew Christensen takes us onto a bus that is looking to make breastfeeding a positive experience. Andrew?
That's right, Chris. I got to take a look inside the Breast Express, a bus owned by the app Pump Spotting, which partnered with the Motherhood Co. Whether you're a mother breastfeeding in public and exposed or covered up, this bus is looking to make mothers comfortable with their bodies. Babies crying, typical when they are hungry. The Motherhood Co. partnered with Pump Spotting, an app that allows people to find a spot to nurse on the go.
It's normal to feed their babies, however, they choose to do so, and that we support them and encourage them to get out of the house and find community not only online but in person.
Pump Spotting's Breast Express aims to provide mothers a comfortable place to nurse, equipped with a kitchen, changing stations, and a restroom. The bus was hosted at the Motherhood Co., which provides breastfeeding support, yoga classes, childbirth preparation, and a mommy support group.
Anyone is able to come, whether you pump, breastfeed, or give formula and bottle feed. That's what I love about the group, that it's very open, anyone can come.
From California to Boston, the 40-foot Breast Express is a place for mothers to relax and breastfeed, and maybe have a few snacks. According to the CDC, over 50% of the babies born in Arizona in 2015 were exclusively breastfed through 3 months old. That number plummets down to just over 25% of infants that were breastfed through 6 months old. Owner of the Motherhood Co. says her goal was to enrich moms through support.
We created the Motherhood Co. Our mission was always that we could never do any of this alone, and we all own separate birth businesses as well, and we tell our mom clients that all the time, that they have to have each other and create community.
The Breast Express has 3 more stops in Arizona before heading to Los Angeles. In the studio, Andrew Christensen, Cronkite News.
So we want to hear from you now. Are you comfortable with moms breastfeeding in public?
Mike's not. He says there's no reason for it. But Anne disagrees, saying it's more comfortable than being around a screaming, hungry baby.
Lots of mixed reactions on this topic. Marilyn says, as long as they cover their breasts, I'm good with it. It's natural. While Leonore chimed in with, it's a wonderful bond between a mother and her baby, and it's absolutely fine as long as she's discreet and the child isn't in college. Some people take it to an extreme.
And it's not too late to join the conversation. Just go to our Cronkite News Facebook and Twitter feeds to get your voice heard. Now, as the saying goes, Chris, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Up next, we'll take you inside the Mesa Company on a mission to furnish your home while keeping Valley landfills clear at the same time.
Is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
When we think of reuse, we often think about water bottles, clothes, small items. But Cronkite News reporter Jordan Elder is here to tell us about other reusable items you may be sitting on right now.
Have you ever thought about where the couch you're sitting on or the table you're eating at may end up once you're done with it? There's a growing movement in Arizona and around the country to reuse furniture and give it a second life. To some, it may look like trash.
Cabinet sets, countertops, plumbing fixtures, windows, doors.
But to Laura Ward, it's treasure.
You never know what you're going to find, but by coming back every week or so, I'm always looking to see what they have and how I can use it in my home.
Stardust Building Supplies is just one of the companies taking part in the reuse movement, giving new homes to the items that make a home, something that business development manager Chelsea Pickett is proud of.
All the building materials in a home or business are typically destroyed and then taken to the landfill where they are basically end of life. With deconstruction, we can go in, we remove those items, we're able to redistribute them to the community.
And when it's reused, it's also repriced, something store manager Dustin Ingram says customers appreciate.
Most furniture stores, you're going to spend a couple $100 on, a chair. Here, it's going to be much more affordable.
Pickett says the reuse movement has been gaining popularity in recent years, especially through deconstruction, which keeps big furniture items out of America's landfills.
The construction and demolition debris that's created through traditional demolition and construction is actually twice as much as our solid municipal waste.
The EPA says over 534 million tons of construction and demolition waste end up in landfills every year. Cabinets like these. But Pickett says in order to start breaking that number down, we have to stop building up.
A big challenge, particularly in Arizona, is we have a very healthy and robust building industry here. It can be perceived as inconvenient or maybe not worth it to choose reused building materials and find a second life for them.
But some, like Ward, say out with the new and in with the old.
Anytime I can reuse anything, it gives me a little bit of feeling good at the same time as saving money.
You reduce your waste and you help your community all at the same time by choosing something that's better for the environment.
If you want to learn how your next remodeling project can help reduce waste, Stardust Building Supplies just rolled out an educational campaign about deconstruction. You can check it out on their website, stardustbuilding.org.
Thanks, Jordan. And now, if you stepped outside today, you might notice that it's been a little cooler than what we've been dealing with recently. Annika, where is it coming from?
Actually, the first day of fall is on Monday, so we're going to see temperatures start cooling down on the whole, starting, I guess, now. Let's take a look at it. Right now in the valley, we are hovering at just close to 100 degrees, sitting at 99 degrees in Phoenix. It's still 100 in Gila Bend and Casa Grande, but if you want to get cooler, head up north. Flagstaff is our coolest at an even 70 degrees. Now, if we look at our evening as you're heading work, it's going to be about 90 degrees, hitting below that 100 threshold. And then at 10 p.m., under 90 degrees. If you want to go stargazing, it's going to be completely clear out tonight. It's a fantastic evening to grab your picnic basket and go do that. Let's look at tomorrow though. Temperatures are a little bit cooler, especially as we're heading into the valley area. We aren't even reaching the triple digits. And as we go into our weekend, if you're planning on going to Arizona Restaurant Week, you may even want to sit outside. Temperatures are not hitting 100 the entire weekend. It's partly cloudy on Sunday. But as we head into the week, Monday and Tuesday, we have some storms coming. In fact, we have lightning on Monday. You'll want to grab an umbrella, grab your rain jacket. You're going to need it. I'm Annika Abbott here in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
Thank you, Annika. Still to come, goat tying, barrel racing, and bull riding. We give you an inside look at the sport of rodeo in high schools. Don't go away.
Welcome to another edition of Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Taylor Rocha. Let's talk sports.
For the latest on local sports and beyond, we've got you covered.
Let's do this thing.
We challenge reporters to go beyond, a game story. We want stories with depth.
It's just a crucial step from the college experience into the professional experience while you're still in school.
At Cronkite Sports Now, watch the journalists of tomorrow cover sports today.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Cronkite Noticias is the Spanish-speaking division of Cronkite News, covering topics such as economics, education, sustainability, immigration, and border relations. Cronkite Noticias strives to serve the Spanish-speaking community in Arizona. Under the guidance of prominent Spanish-speaking professionals, students at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism develop content for our broadcast partner, Univision, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Explore Cronkite Noticias at cronkitenoticias.azpbs.org.
With wildfires, a scarcity of water, and other environmental issues facing the Earth today, it's critical to stay up to date with local impacts of a changing climate. That's why we created Elemental, covering sustainability, a multimedia collaboration between public television and radio stations. From climate change to water conservation to renewable energy and much more, Elemental covers the latest in sustainability news. Find our stories on our website, elementalreports.com.
Last weekend was the first of 10 rodeos to start the season of the Arizona High School Radio Association for grades 6 through 12. And Cronkite sports reporter Serena Perez explores how the association has been a part of families for generations.
Goat tying, barrel racing, and bull riding. Just a few of the events that took place in Payson for the season opener of the Arizona High School Rodeo Association. But beyond that is a community of friends, family, a bond between a rider and their horse, along with promoting the Western way of life.
I myself competed in this very same association when I was a young boy.
For Jace Kirby, president of AHSRA, and other parents, things have come full circle with their kids now being members.
The old friends and acquaintances, and even meet new people who are interested in joining with us.
As members develop through the years, some will train with different horses, but know the importance of having a relationship with their partner.
They're everything. You can't really do the event without them. They're just your best friend, and they become a part of your life every day.
The National High School Rodeo Association has been around since 1949 and has steadily seen an increase in its numbers over the years, especially this season with the season opener this weekend in Payson with about 300 contestants. And President Jace Kirby explains what's helping keeping the association alive.
The barrel race is usually one of the largest events, and it's the girls that really help to, make us function and keep us headed down the right road.
Whether it's the boys or the girls, there's one thing noticeable with members: the dress code.
We always like the kids to act and look like cowboys while they're here, so it is your basic cowboy dress code.
Boots, jeans, a button-up long sleeve, and of course, a cowboy hat.
The rule number one of cowboys is you don't lose your hat.
Losing your hat can add 5 seconds to your time or result in a $5 fine. In Payson, I'm Serena Perez, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS, and here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon.
On the next Arizona Horizon, a new effort to give independents the right to vote in Arizona primary elections, and how Sedona is working to embrace the city's popularity and still keep its small-town feel. That's on the next Arizona Horizon.
Cronkite News Tonight, thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.